Good morning, Red Deer. My name is Pete Wardell. I'm Director of Business Development for Chandos Construction. That was my first slide gone, evaporated. Okay, so I'm excited to share with you some big ideas in construction. Couldn't have done it without contributors, Edmonton Construction Association, Integrated Project Delivery Alliance, Stantec, Tessellate, V3, Green Energy Futures, and Go Productivity. So thank you very much for all of those who contributed. Hey, and I'm caught up. So the sources and forces of change are very much steeped in regulation in the construction industry. As of November 1st this year, we had the National Energy Code take effect, and of January 1st this next year, we have the carbon tax kicking in at $20 a tonne. Technology is changing rapidly. We're seeing renewable energies that are getting much cheaper and much more efficient. And the economy, the reality is that construction companies are having to get leaner in order to stay competitive. So I'm going to split up this presentation into two phases: current technologies or big ideas we're implementing now, and then what I'd consider future technologies that could uptake. Current technologies will be BIM, building information modeling, prefabrication, and a big one is how we are engaging in construction contracts and the evolution of those contracts. Future technology, this looks very sci-fi, but it's a reality, 3D printing of structures. We're going to be talking about carbon sequestering concrete, which really excites me. We'll be talking about augmented reality. We've seen and heard about it before, and a few other things that are coming down the line in the construction and real estate industry. But at the heart of the issue with construction stands this productivity issue. It's an unfortunate line that we see there, but that red line is construction productivity that has reduced 20% over the last, since 1964. Every other industry on average has actually ramped up 120%. It's a concern for our government, it's a concern for our private industry, and if we don't change the trend, it's going to mean that Alberta and the construction industry in general will not be competitive. Buildings won't get built that should. Now this book, an interesting read, Broken Buildings and Busted Budgets, actually goes into the heart of the issue around this productivity woe is actually because of archaic construction contracts. Buildings have become so sophisticated, yet contracts haven't changed in centuries. We're still going with good old design, bid, build, lowest price wins. So if you look at that contract, a traditional construction contract, it's very fragmented. You've got the owner at the top, you've got the architect and the engineers on one side. They're doing their things in silos. They don't even engage the construction industry, which represents usually 85 to 90% of the cost. Then they give the award to the lowest price, and then the construction industry builds it in silos with all their subtrades not communicating effectively. So what about imagining a contract where everyone signs on to one contract called a poly-party agreement, which creates a virtual entity, for lack of a better term. And all of a sudden, everyone commits their profits into one pool, and those profits are actually shared according to how you perform on budget and schedule. This contract is becoming a reality. It started out of the States over a decade ago, and I'm really proud to say that Alberta, of all provinces, as you can see, has picked it up more than any other province in Canada. And I'm even more proud to say that little old Red Deer is the hub of IPD activity in Canada right now. We've procured 5 contracts via IPD here, the 2 Red Deer Catholic schools, the 2 City of Red Deer fire halls, and most recently Red Deer College. Their residence was procured just a month or so ago via IPD. Lean thinking, you may think of the manufacturing industry or the Toyota way, but lean is big in construction right now, and it needs to get bigger. The reality is that the average completion rate of tasks on a construction site in Canada right now is 56%. It's abysmal. So much low-hanging fruit to get efficiencies via lean thinking and lean practices on site. This is an example of building information modeling, or BIM. This is helping us to get more productive. It's been in the design industry for years, but what we're seeing now is a draw of BIM into construction. So the Red Deer schools, for example, actually have computer BIM stations set up around the construction site, no 2D drawings, and trades are able to get much more detail, to get much more quality into the building. And that's segueing into prefab or prefabrication. What we're seeing is subtrades now getting their BIM models at their shops, and well before the project started on site, they're prefabricating to a much higher degree of quality, a much tighter spec. That means there's less rework on site, and ultimately we can compress schedule, which saves money. Geothermal and PV. PV, photovoltaic or solar. This is real. This building right here is the Mosaic Centre in Edmonton. It's the world's most northerly net zero office building. They achieved a full year of contributing more to the grid than they took off. There is no gas line going into this building. It's achievable, and it's going to become more achievable as prices come down and efficiencies go up. So looking at future, what's going to come down the line, what big ideas? Well, doing a bit of research, net zero, yes, it's happening now, but it's very much the exception. I think that net zero is going to become the norm. I think it will happen in residential before it will commercial, just because it's more achievable with smaller structures. But I take my hat off to Mayor Lindop down the end there. He's with the town of Devon, and they're pushing for net zero 2050, which is a huge, huge thing, and personally I think it's achievable. That's for their entire town, by the way. 3D printing of buildings. This is happening in Japan. There is a company that is pumping out 10 of these a day as part of a pilot project. That is the superstructure only, but the concept and the belief is that more complicated 3D printing will be able to actually produce mechanical and electrical products on site as well. I love this product. I love this guy. He's out of Halifax, and he is sequestering CO2 into his concrete production. So he's getting CO2 from surrounding factories and putting it into his concrete where it's sequestered in perpetuity. A huge shift from concrete being the biggest contributor to CO2, and arguably 5% of the world's CO2 contribution comes from concrete production. Augmented reality, we've seen this in other presentations. You may think of Pokemon Go. This is being used currently by a lot of interior construction firms like Dirt, but I see much wider applications of this being used in the greater, wider industry for complete building walkthroughs. Whew, got through it. Recommendations. So the silver bullet in the research I've done is to get rid of these productivity woes we have is to engage and incentivize our project teams differently than we traditionally do with our current contracts. Government needs to lead the procurement modernisation, and I'm really proud of the Alberta government and local municipalities like the City of Red Deer for getting behind these more integrative contracts. And the CCDC committee, the other committee who create the construction contracts for our industry, they need to get on board and make these mainstream. I'm going to finish with a saying from Bill Gates. The rule of any technology used in a business is that automation applied to an efficient operation will magnify that efficiency, but the second is that if automation applied to an inefficient operation will magnify the inefficiency. So we need to get to the heart of why we're inefficient, which I genuinely believe is that we're not working integratively and collaboratively well enough yet, and then let's bolt on the technology to be able to leverage them well. Thank you very much.